Hey everybody, it's Eric here. Today's a special little video. By the time this video is up and watchable, it's gonna be my birthday. So yeah, to celebrate my birthday, I'm gonna be doing basically update to my first ever video that I made, which was a deck profile of what I dubbed my circus deck, which is my Odd Eyes Magician deck with Performapals teched into it. I have updated it off screen, but I don't know why I never actually made more videos on it. But hey, I'm here to. I updated my deck recently. Not too drastically, but yeah. Let's go ahead and get into it. Just so you guys know, I forgot that some cards were unbanned or limited and stuff like that. So that's why there's going to be like some weird ratios of cards, like how I'm only going to have like some one-ofs because I'm just used to only having one of them for so long. But let's get into it. So of course I have 3 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragons. Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, your main attacker of your main deck, skill 4, but that doesn't matter. What really matters is just his main effect, that he deals double barrel damage. Side effect that could be used for is his pendulum effect, where you can search a pendulum monster with 1500 attack or less, but that's only really used if you don't really have your scares necessary scares, and you leave yourself. But the thing is that you do leave yourself a bit wide open, so it's only really useful for slower decks. Of course, it's a sign. I got it signed by the CEO for the mission, but yeah. Last time you guys saw this, this was my only Odd Eyes thing that I had in here. But now I have some new Odd Eyes stuff that I got from the Legendary Dragon decks, which I barely just figured out that, hey, I never updated my Odd Eyes deck with that. So, added in 1 Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon. Another secondary attacker in the main deck, has the same stats overall as Odd Eyes, except he has some different effects and of course different art. His pendulum effect isn't too special. It just makes it that of course you're never going to put him to your scale because it's a scale 4, and there's plenty of level 4 monsters in here that you probably want to pendulum summon. But it could be useful in some cases because he gives an Odd Eyes 12k 12k attack, extra attack during the battle phase. But we mainly use him for his main not his pendulum effect, but his on-field effect. Well, as long as he was pendulum summoned and he does battle damage, you can inflict your opponent damage equal to the number of Odd Eyes in your pendulum scales times 12k. So I added him some more cards in here that have Odd Eyes in the name, so you can put them in your scale, so you can always, if he does damage, along with the damage he does 2400 attack on top of it. And to go along with that, I have some new Odd Eyes support cards. First being Odd Eyes Mirage Dragon, scale 8, probably one of the main Odd Eyes scales that you want to go into. Easily searchable with the cards that I have in this deck. Level 3, so you can pendulum summon if you want to normal summon him. His pendulum effect is interesting, where if a face-up Odd Eyes pendulum monster was destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy a card in my pendulum zone and then place an Odd Eyes, basically replace it with a different Odd Eyes card in the pendulum zone. So for example, if they destroy, let's say they destroy an Odd Eyes on your field, you can say, oh, I destroy one of my other scrolls, or I destroy Mirage Dragon, and replace it with Odd Eyes. So it could happen during your turn, it could happen during anybody's turn, but it can replace for any Odd Eyes monster. His on-field effect is interesting, where you can prevent a destruction for an Odd Eyes monster that you have, and I only run 2 of them because I only have the 2. Another card that I have is Odd Eyes Persona Dragon. I know I used to actually run Persona Dragon in like an online deck that I had, but Mirage Dragon wasn't out yet, or I didn't actually use Mirage. Odd Eyes Persona Dragon is a scale 1, level 5. I mainly use him for his on-field effect, where it's a quick effect where I can target a face-up monster and that was special summon for the extra that can negate its effects until the end of the turn. Of course, Unfortunately, some cards that aren't unaffected by being targeted, so it doesn't work on everything. But you can like hit some stuff that's like gonna deal you a lot. That's gonna like be a nuisance on either your turn or your opponent's turn, which is neat. Here's Pendulum Effect. It's at the end of the turn. If it basically goes in tandem with Mirage Dragon. If one of your allies monsters were targeted, it has to be targeted a single one. It can't be like Dark Hold. It won't activate. But if an allies was destroyed, while this card was in your Pendulum Zone, you can special summon. You can special summon Persona Dragon onto the field, and then and then put an allies monster in your extra deck into the Pendulum skill. So slightly different from Mirage, because Mirage is just destroys a card in your skill to replace it. And he puts himself onto the field and then replaces an allies. You will want to have him on your field since he's a good defense with 2400. Of course, not the best, but that's all the main allies monsters I have in my main deck. I was gonna add allies Gravity Dragon because I like Gravity Dragon a lot, but I decided against it because I think having a ritual, it would be nice to have like all the special summon forms of allies, but having a ritual monster in the deck would just be inconvenient. Now to go on to my main support stuff in this deck, which is of course my Pendulum Magicians. Starting off, I have 2 Wisdom Eye, but a lot of the time last time I updated this, Wisdom Eye was at 2, so I think Wisdom Eye was at 2. I don't remember exactly, so don't quote me on that. But Wisdom Eye, he's basically acts as a different one of your skills. If you have a skill 1, you can make him a skill. You can switch him out for a skill 8 in your deck. If you have a skill 8, you can switch him out for a skill 1 in your deck. Nice and simple. On field effect, not too special, but he's a level 4 magician, so you can use him for your Xyz plays and stuff like that. My main skill 8 that I go into is my Dragon Pit Magician, a basic vanilla monster, level 7 with 2700 defense. His pendulum effect though is if I have another magician in my skill, I can discard a card to pop a spell card. So useful at times. I don't use them too often because most of the time I throw all my stuff onto the field. I do have 2 Stargazer Magicians main because I wanted to have some level 1s. And I did get rid of Time Gazer Magician because Time Gazer Magician, even though he's a scale 8, he has a restriction where you can't place him onto the scale unless your field is empty, but Stargazer doesn't have that. Stargazer, of course, his pendulum effect is if a pendulum monster attacks, opponent can activate spell cards during the battle step. And on the field, I can like bounce some stuff if I wanted to, but I don't use them too often for that. I mainly keep him into my scales for that. One of that I have is White Wing Magician, a tuner that I can use. Of course, if I pendulum summon her and then synchro, she gets banished, so I don't use it too often. And she's a scale 1 that I can use, of course, level 4 as well for my XG place. Card that I wish I had a bit more of is Black Fang Magician. I don't have any Iris Fang Magicians. I know that card came off of the ban list. Arthur has Iris Magicians, so I know he can add those into his Pendulum deck. But Black Fang Magician, level 4, Dark Magician, mainly for XCs and stuff like that. I can destroy him to half a monster's attack if I wanted to. And on the field, if something was destroyed by battle, I can special summon. If this guy was destroyed by battle, I can bring back a Dark Spellcaster from my graveyard. I don't have too many Dark Spellcasters, but hey, it's something. Another one I have is Dragon Pulse Magician. He's the opposite to Dragon Pit Magician. He is a level 4, so he's pretty nice. A scale 1, can never have enough of those. And if I have another magician, Dragon Pit pop the spell trap. Dragon Pulse pops a monster. Monster Destruction is quite avoidable nowadays. A lot of cards can get around it, so that's why I only have 1 of him. I have an Oath Dragon Magician. Mainly use him as a backup beat stick sometimes. I don't use his pendulum effects or his actual monster effect too much, but they are kind of useful for recycling. He's a level 6 though, so I can't use it for any XC's plays since I don't have any level 6. I can use him for some single plays if I wanted to, but I have to use my level 1 tuner with that. But if he is normal or special summoned, I can bring back a magician or an odd eyes in my graveyard back to my hand. In the scale, if I have another magician in my scale, I can add a face-up magician or odd eyes from the extra deck back into my hand. So it's just a way to recur stuff. One of my tuners, one of my main tuners that I use is my Noble Dragon Magician. Doesn't have scale 5, so I'm never gonna put it in the scale. And if I don't have another magician in my scale, she destroys herself anyway. But she cannot be used for single material other than my dragon synchros, so I can only use them for my dragons. But hey, if I have an odd eyes in my field, I can reduce my odd eyes. I can reduce my level 7 odd eyes lower, and make her reduce the basically make a guarantee on level 7. I mainly use level 7 synchros, using odd eyes to synchro level 7. And if I don't use an odd eyes, I think she gets sent on the bottom of the deck and sent to the face instead of the extra deck. So if I don't use odd eyes, I can't recur her as often and make more synchro plays. I have to wait and search her out. Another one of my tuners in my tuners in the more recent one, Harmonizer Magician. I can only use other magicians to tune with her, so most likely only really making level 8s with her. I should probably add some more level 8s now that I'm thinking about it. But if she's Pendulum Summon, I could special summon a Magician Pendulum from my deck into defense mode, so hey, it's a guarantee a synchro summon with her. But I think she gets banished. Oh no, she banished. Yeah, it's banished and also banished at least. But if I use it that way, the other monster gets banished. I'm pretty sure. I think she banishes herself as well. I don't remember exactly. And lastly, I have my level 1 tuner Magician. Not easily searchable since she's not a Pendulum Magician. I mainly search Pendulum Magicians. But if I have 2 magicians in my pendulum zones, I can special summon her from my hand or from my graveyard. But if I special summon her this way, she banishes herself. So what I mainly do is normal summon her and then special summon her afterwards to get another synchro play off. Every time I summon her, my opponent does gain a little bit of life points, but hey, nothing. Life points don't matter unless it's the last one. Of course, that means that my opponent's going to gain at least 800 life points and I'm going to lose 800 life points because I used it twice, but that doesn't matter in the end, really. It's a level 1 tuner that I can really use. But that's it for my magicians. My magicians take a majority of the part. Now it's time for my few texts, my few Performapals that I have left. But just a little tip that you guys didn't know. My deck used to be mainly Performapals, with a few magicians as support, and then my odd eyes as my boss monster. But lately it's changed with the magicians being ever so stronger, and a lot of the Performapals not being as strong anymore. So I have very few Performapals left in the deck. I have my Silverclaw. In the scale, I don't use him in my scale too often because all he does is he's a scale 5. It's quite awkward to have him in there. But level 4 Dark Monster, level 4, and also a Beast for a fusion play I can do. But if he attacks on my Performapals, gain 200 attack, so he becomes 2100. If I have 2 of them in the field, 24. Hey. That's why I run 2 of him. He's a nice little beat stick sometimes. Of course, normal summon with 2 if I don't have any way to pendulum summon. A new one that I have is Performapal Pendulum Sorcerer. He's one of my main ways I can actually search out my specific Performapals, since most of the time I don't see my Performapals because most of them are 1-ofs and they're not in the deck too often. It's a scale 2, which is quite useful, but since he's not a magician, since he's a sorcerer, sometimes my other magicians won't get the effects while in the scale with him. So, hey, it's a give and take, really. He's a scale 2, which is quite nice. But if I have him in my scale and I do summon Performapals, Pendulum Summon Performapals, my Performapals do gain 1000 attack, which is quite nice if I want to beat down with my Performapals. And of course, main reason I use him, because if he's special summon, I destroy 2 cards and switch them out for different Performapals. So yeah. Just a way to get my Performapals. One of my main Performapals I keep using, Performapal Drumarilla. A little way that I can get over. Of course, I can actually normal summon him. and he becomes a level 4. I think that's the only thing that happens. Yeah, he just becomes a level 4. He's only 1600 attack though. He has a skill 2, which is quite nice. And a beast, which goes into a fusion play that I have later. But while on the field, during any battle phase, it's only once per turn. Isn't? Yeah, it's only once per turn, but if I battle an opponent's monster or they battle to me, I can have my monster gain 600 attack. And just a little boost that I can use to get over stuff. He has the same effect in the scale where, oh, hey, have a monster gain 600 attack while in the middle of a battle. Now, another one of my Odd Eyes cards that I can use, it goes in suction with Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon, is my Performapals Odd Eyes Ice Phoenix. Scale 3, I don't have too many scale 2s, so not bad actually. Scale 1, 2, and 3 is not bad at all. The only thing I don't want is scale 4 or 5 because that makes stuff awkward. Level 5, not going to summon him too often, but he does have a cool effect where you contribute him to have one of your Performapals gain an extra 10k. And if your opponent declares a direct attack, while I have another card in my scale, I can destroy the other card in my scale and special summon him, so then he gets in the way of the monster. So it's a way to protect myself, but that doesn't happen too often because he doesn't get in my scale too much. Another one of my Performapals Odd Eyes is Odd Eyes Unicorn. Normal summon him to don't normal summon him too much, but I mainly have him in my scale. In the scale, I can have one of my Odd Eyes gain attack by then equal to attack of one of my other Performapals on the field. So he is better than Drummerilla, but it's a scale 8. Drummer is a scale 2. Hey, I can have both of them in there and get a lava attack if I wanted to. But mainly use him for his skill 8 and his Odd Eyes name. Sometimes I wish I had more of him in here. But I've been trying to balance out my scales because sometimes I feel I have too many skill 8, sometimes I feel I have too many of the lower ones. So I really try to balance out my scales here. But hey, another Odd Eyes stuff. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that I can have in the scales possible to go in junction with Phantom Dragon. For my last Performapal, I have Camelump. Honestly, probably one of the worst cards I have in my deck. Main reason I'm using him is because he's a beast level 4 for my Xyz plays, and the fact that he's a scale 2. I can have him lower the defense of some of my monsters, some of my opponent's monsters in the scale. And if my opponents run over him, they lose attack, but that doesn't come up as often as it used to. I mean, using the fact that he's a level 4 for Xyz plays, stuff like that. But that's all my monsters. Now onto my spells and traps. Main card I have in here, Sky Iris. I have 2 Sky Iris in the Terraforming. I keep thinking about bumping it up so then I have 4 of them, but I'm never sure, honestly. But I always want to have Sky Iris out. My searcher for all of my Odd Eyes stuff, since I don't have too many Odd Eyes stuff, is basically a 1-for-1. Pop anything on my field, search out any Odd Eyes card. So it could be an Odd Eyes spell, or it can be an Odd Eyes monster. Sometimes, that's why I was thinking about running the ritual, because I can actually search the ritual with Sky Iris, but I mainly use Sky Iris to search out my monsters, and then search out my Odd Eyes fusions for my fusion plays. But, well, I have my Sky Iris up. It's a catch one off for my Magicians, my Performapals, and my Odd Eyes. To protect, they have to destroy Sky Iris before they can destroy my scales. But hey, yeah. Awesome spell card. I have 2 Star Pendulumgraphs. This is a new thing that I added recently to boost up my Magicians. My opponents can target any of my spellcasters I control with spell effects. And if a face of Magician Pendulum card leaves my monster zone or Pendulum zone, I search one out. Continuous spell, I only have 2 of these because I'm not sure about running more, honestly, because I don't have too many Magicians, and I have another way of searching them out with Pendulum Call. But yeah, very useful right there. Another motive I have is 2 Odd Eyes Fusions. I finally bumped it up to an extra one, so now I can actually fuse twice a game. But he only fuses Dragon type fusion monsters. Of course, most of my extra deck is Dragon. I am weak to Bust Up later, just so you know. Don't tell the Bust Up players that, so then they don't know what I'm running into. But your basic fusion spell, with a little bit of spice. If my opponent controls two or more monsters and I have none, I can use two odd-eyes monsters in my extra deck as fusion material. So I can use face down ones, face up ones. Doesn't matter. As long as the fusion, as long as they're in the extra deck and my opponents have more monsters, I have none, I can fuse stuff out. Of course, I can only activate one eyes fusion per turn, unfortunately, but hey, I'm the boss. Pendulum Call. This card, last time, I have not been in the loop of Yu-Gi-Oh! Last time I was in the loop, Pendulum Call was at 1 because Pendulum Magicians was very strong. So I only have the one. Discard a card, add 2 Pendulum Magicians with different names, and then my scales cannot be touched. Simple and easy. Might add some of my other ones in here, I'm not sure yet. The replacement I do have is Amazing Pendulum. If I have no cards on my scales, I add 2 Magician Pendulum monsters with different names from my extra deck. Especially a way is that, oh, they pop my scales, let me just get them back real quick. That's a one of that I have. Pot of Riches, I might switch this out. That's a recurring card, probably not too useful. I shuffle back 3 Pendulum monsters from my graveyard or from face up in my extra deck back into the deck to draw 2 cards. It used to be very useful, but I'm not sure about running it anymore, honestly. And finally, my traps. Time Pendulum Graph, 2 of these, is the opposite of Star Pendulum Graph. Time Pendulum Graph makes it that my spellcasters can be targeted by traps. It doesn't come up very often, which is why I only run. Sometimes I think about bumping it down a bit, but I do like its other effect. Well, if I target, it's basically a 1-for-1. I can target any of my Pendulum Magicians, does my defenses, as long as it's on the field. Scale or monster, doesn't matter. I can then destroy a card my opponent controls, and if I don't destroy a card, I destroy 2 cards. If I don't destroy 2 cards, then I send a card on the field to the graveyard. This is basically a way to get around some of the effects that can't be targeted, can't be destroyed. I just send it. So it goes around that. And then finally, Silent Morning. Hey, negate stuff. So yeah, that's the main deck, 40 card extra deck. This deck means a lot to me, honestly. One of the decks I've been building for so long. But hey, it's time to get into the extra deck now. Extra deck monsters. So, last time you guys saw it, links were one thing. So, not the preferred links I have. Most of the links I do have are in my Cybers deck, and I'm mainly Cybers links. So I do need to get some more versatile links. The main link I do be using is We Rich Apprentice for all my dark monsters. It just takes 2 dark monsters to get 2 down. If you guys don't know, I'll be surprised if you guys don't know. The Master Rule of 5, yeah, I think it's Master Rule of 5 now, changes up a bunch of stuff for the extra deck. For special summoning, it takes back stuff where, oh, you need links to summon everything. Now you only need links to summon other links and for pendulum monsters, which is fair and balanced. Pendulums, we don't need Pendulum Summon 5 again. Even though as much as I love that, Pendulum Summon, destroy the entire field and just summon it back out, that's way too strong. So I still need some, these are mainly to get back my Pendulum monsters, but hey, my other extra deck monsters are not too shabby. We Witch Magician, Binary Sorcerer, generic double thing up, so then I can at least get 3. So now I'm like that, so I'll go boom, boom, boom. 3 of them, but then 2 of my spaces are taken up. And then Deco Taka, generic 3, that goes boom, boom, boom. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say there, but those are my links. For my Xyz monsters. Rank 4, Castel, Sky Blasting Musketeer, get rid of stuff. Time Star Magician, can only be made with my level 4 magicians, but I can use them to search out some of my other magicians. And then Darker Bear and Xyz Dragon, and get over anything. Those are all my level 4s. I have All Eyes Absolute, basically acts like a Utopia where I can negate an attack, but then I can also special summon a Odd Eyes from my graveyard if I do. I can do it from my hand or graveyard. Hey, one of my main things I used to do was use Meteor Burst, which is one of my main level 7 Syncos I use. Level 7 Synco is a generic, so I mainly use my level 1s with my level 6s or a combination, or just use normal Dragon Magician to summon this guy out. If you summon him out, you can summon a monster from the pendulum scale out. So what I used to do a lot is summon out Meteor Burst, bring up my Dragon Pit onto the field, and then XC's over it. So use Meteor Burst and Dragon Pit in order to make Absolute Dragon. Attack with Absolute Dragon, negate, special summon out Meteor Burst. Meteor Burst has another effect where monsters cannot activate their effects during the battle phase as long as he's out. So hey, good stuff right there. Onto my only other level 7 that I have. I don't have too many synchros in here. It's Killer Wing Synchro Dragon. Good generic level 7. Can get over stuff that needs to be getting over. Lastly is a level 8 Enlightenment Paladin. He's a way that I can reincur some of my spells, and he has a Flame Wing Mag effect. But in order to reoccur spells, I need to make him wear Pendulum Magician. Now onto my fusion, Starry Venom Fusion Dragon. Good way to get over extra deck monsters and stuff like that. Not the best, obviously. I mainly use this for fun, so that's why I have one of the everything of the Dimensional Dragons. That's why I have fusions, XC, synchros. That's why I want to add rituals in here, and that's why I have links and I can do everything. I'm just waiting for Oddeyes Link monster. For my final ones, the main fusion that I bring out, Oddeyes Run to Dragons, my Negator, my Bouncer, everything good with him. And finally, Beast Eyes, Pendulum Dragon. He can be contact fused with any Oddeyes monster. Oddeyes Dragon, and it has to be Oddeyes Dragon specifically, right? Oh no, it just has to be a Dark Dragon type monster and then a Beast type monster. Then it has a type of Flame Wing Mag effect where he deals damage you can to the Beast type monster's attack. But yeah, that's my Oddeyes stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching this very long video. It feels nice to be doing a deck profile again after so long, especially reoccurring the first one. So I'm gonna go and have a great birthday, even with my shitty year. But yeah, I'll probably do an update video talking about it. Maybe, I don't know. I probably won't. I already told you guys about my dad, but I don't know. This video's getting already off topic, but thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you all you guys who are still with me, even though I haven't been doing the content. I want to get back to content, but again, life's been shit. I've been busy, not motivated. I want to try to get back into making videos again. So hopefully I can get back to making making content again, because I love making content. It's great. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.